So, you know, knowing what I know about the transition with blockchain since 2018 to now, and how there was a time when blockchain technology was on the rise. People were learning more about it. And that 2019, 2020, it was really popular. And the cryptocurrency kind of helped that. And then in 2022, things kind of changed a little bit, and then this AI craze happened, and then people are not so was not so much talking about blockchain. And I'm gonna be transparent, Fierce. I am so much a proponent of blockchain technology, and people not forgetting its value in all these spaces and with all these other technologies, and how AI is not secure if you don't use blockchain. Cryptocurrency can't exist if it wasn't built on the blockchain. Like, it's not like some of those things, I guess it could, but you probably wouldn't want to use it. But anyway, like
Yeah.
the blockchain is really, really important. So could you tell us some of the challenges or breakthroughs that you've experienced with all these, these changes and things? And now I think, conversations that I've had recently, blockchain is now becoming, it's always important. Like, it's one of those that's always there. It's like the foundation, and I consider it the foundation to any of these other technologies. But it's that, so it's always there, but every now and then the volume is amplified on it at certain points. And I think now that people are realizing, oh wait, we have this AI, it's more secure if it's actually you include some of the blockchain technology, da 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 da. And so some of these conversations are happening. So I'm just curious as to your journey. Like, what are some of the challenges you experienced between 2018 and 2025 now? And maybe even some of the breakthroughs, some of the discoveries or things that really just, you know,
You
you
mean across Africa, right?
say again.
Across Africa, right?
Yeah, Africa, or just with y'all creating it into sustainability, right? To now, but yeah, all of it.
Yeah, because Africa is always like another topic. Okay, it is not
Okay.
like the like Europe or US. It is very different in Africa. If you are talking about Africa, building a Web3 ecosystem across Africa, it is an incredible challenge and an inspiring journey, to be honest. Early on, one of the biggest hurdles, let's say, or obstacles we faced when we were trying to build this ecosystem, especially in Africa, was the infrastructure. Okay, things
Mm,
that doesn't
yeah.
exist in Europe or any other region. So yeah, as well, limited and internet connectivity, it is a problem, unfortunately. Electricity as well. Okay, yeah, sometimes it is a luxury in Africa, which
Mhm.
is unfortunate. And also, high data costs made onboarding users and developers to blockchain technology is particularly tough. Okay, so beyond just infrastructure, awareness and
Mm,
education were significant barriers for like blockchain technology, smart contracts, decentralized applications. All of these things were entirely new concepts to many talented people in Africa. Okay, to address to address this, we had to engage in educational initiatives, workshops, community-driven events, like to try to break this knowledge gap. And also in Africa, we have another big issue, which is regulatory environments across different
mhm.
African nations. Like in Europe, we have MiCA. In the US, we have the SEC. In Africa, we there is no organization or policymakers who make these kinds of policies. So yes, that's another major challenge. So policies vary, they vary greatly from country to another country in Africa, and that's a huge problem. But despite all of these challenges, like Africa's relationships with blockchain has always been uniquely pioneering. And I don't know if you already know, but Africa were actually among the first global adopters of blockchain technology without even realizing it, which is something fascinating and very surprising to many people. Like, and this adoption, it came primarily driven by necessity. Like, for instance, in countries like Nigeria, for example, people turned early to Bitcoin because traditional banking system frequently failed them. Okay, so especially during like an economic crisis, they learned the hard way how blockchain could offer real solutions for transferring funds and maintaining economic resilience. Like back then when I was a student, like I had a couple of friends who were Nigerian, and their families, they were sending them money via Bitcoin. Okay, they should be doing very fine right now because Bitcoin was very low price at that moment.
Yes.
But yeah, they were using Bitcoin without realizing that they are using the blockchain technology, without understanding the blockchain technology. So yeah, another compelling moment that showed me the power of innovation in Africa happened in Tanzania. Like I remembered vividly a conversation with a client in Tanzania who wanted to issue educational, not sorry, not educational, renewable energy certificates as NFTs on chain for his students. Okay, so naturally, I started proposing a typical Web3 solution, a decentralized application, okay, with a mobile wallet and digital interaction, etc., etc. But then he surprised me. He explained that most of students didn't have smartphones. So I was genuinely puzzled. Like I said, then how do we build this solution if they don't have smartphones? His answer amazed me. Like they had developed a unique system using standard feature phones. Students could simply compose a number, input a transaction address, send crypto, and validate blockchain transaction entirely through SMS, which is something incredible. Like this moment really opened my eyes to the level of creativity and innovation happening on this continent. Like they are learning the hard way. Like they are using this technology because like blockchain speaks for them. Like it's the solution for their use cases. And speaking of innovation, like Africa has produced many bright minds who've shaped global blockchain infrastructure. We have numerous internationally recognized people, founders, and developers who originated right from Africa. And that demonstrates Africa's enormous potential and talent in the Web3 space. And I know a couple of people who, like from Kenya, Nigeria, Tunisia, Morocco, like they are big architecture engineers, builders who build infrastructures on Web3 blockchain applications, which is something incredible. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
No, no, no. I was letting you go because you were, as we say, let him cook. We were letting you cook. But you
Yeah.
said so much, and so I want to highlight a few things. So one thing that I know, just from me being in the blockchain space, like much of my experience and the people I've worked with and the projects I've worked with, even with the different programs, the hackathons and things that I've worked with, have been on the continent of Africa, and have been in spaces where people are really innovative. They're really creative. They are the thinkers and leaders in this space, and so I agree. So that's kind of an amen to what you said there. And two, I remember conversations around 2020, 2021 that I was having with people, and they were talking about, and people who were not necessarily connected to the continent, and they were talking about, oh, we can do this, these grand ideas in Web3. And that's when the Web3 craze was all there. And I said, there's some of these basic things that we must address first: access, in order to really allow them to thrive, that we know they could. The basic things you talked about, like electricity, the devices, like Wi-Fi, having those issues, and then the data plans that they have, like, and people running out of data, and not being able to complete tasks and projects because of these challenges. And so I really like that y'all took on the educational piece and addressed those primary challenges first, before then we can get to these other things, and before we can even say, hey, try out the Dar blockchain, hey, come, see what we're about. Because that is one of the things that really was a pet peeve of mine back, when people really caught on, like, oh, blockchain is a thing, and it's a cool thing, and it's a thing that's really important. But they were still forgetting some of those basic needs, those basic access issues that
Yes.
people around the world have. And so I really love that y'all took a moment and said, okay, we know these are issues. How do we get around that? And then getting feedback from the people on the ground, right? The people
Yes.
there, and saying, well, we have a way, which is very innovative in itself, we have a way to do that. And so I'm just wanting to give y'all your kudos for acknowledging that and addressing that in a way that really helped, I hope, and build your project and really get people, inspired to learn more about the Dar blockchain. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I know there's some of the things that y'all have. So what are some of the things that you are currently, I guess, y'all are currently offering? I guess that's what I want to say. I know that I've heard buzzes and I've seen some things on the website. And by the way, those of you who are tuning in, we will have the website in the show notes. So make sure that you check out the description or the show notes, and the website will be there where you can go and click around and check. But one of the things I saw on the website that I just mentioned that I know is near and dear to my heart is a hackathon. So I know y'all have that. So could you explain what your hackathon is and a little bit about the hackathon, um, for our viewers?
Yes.